Well, I think it's a couple things. One, I think about the dynamic mix of players that we have. So when I speak about AU pro basketball, we represent all of professional women's basketball. So you're going to get to see some of the names you already know and love and some of the veterans that we have. You know Isabel Harrison and Alicia Clark and Sydney Colson, but then there are going to be some new names, right, that you're going to have an opportunity to get to know. Maybe there's some names that went overseas and for whatever reason you were familiar with them, but maybe they needed a little bit more visibility and you want to have an opportunity to kind of get to know them and reintroduce them, right? So we do that in a way that no other league is doing that. We're welcoming that part of the community, as well as you're getting to know some of the young talent like, a Deja Kelly, perhaps, or Tahina Pout, right? And you're getting to see the work that they put in and how you bring together this incredible network of vets in a community with the rising stars and like how they give to one another. I think that's the thing that really does separate AU. It's the community aspect of it.
Take this question any way you want it. What is your first or favorite basketball memory?
Oh gosh, that is awesome. My favorite basketball memory, because there's so many. I have to say I've been a part of this game. Hope I don't look it, but over 20 years. We'll see. But I remember spending time. I grew up in Charlottesville, Virginia, close to the University of Virginia, and that means ACC basketball. And I had the awesome pleasure of witnessing Elena Beard, who happened to be my favorite player when I was younger at Duke University, come to U-Hall. And it's the first time I'd ever seen anyone have such a dominating offensive performance. And it was so inspired by her. I forget the exact number, but I think she scored like over 30 points at that time. And I was very, very young. So like over 30 was a big deal. But that was the first time that I actually saw someone embody like the spirit, the competitive spirit that I just really felt like I identified with, and do it in a way that was just so smooth, so savvy. I became an instant fan. And so I still remember the joy I had from experiencing college basketball, finding out about someone I did not know, but seeing someone that I thought that I could be one day, that sticks with me to this day. So Elena, all that she's accomplished and being enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame this past season, it's full circle and it feels like to me just like yesterday. So I think of that often. Yeah, that's my favorite memory.
Can you delve into how that shaped just the early relationship you have with basketball to you playing at Cornell and just playing basketball at an elite level and how that shaped your career moving forward?
Yeah, it's so funny because I started playing basketball when I was like, I think third or fourth grade. I remember my parents putting me into like a YMCA league, and I was, you know, chubby Megan at the time trying to get some exercise, and it wasn't like much more than that. But having the opportunity to go and live and be close to the University of Virginia, I got a chance to learn about basketball history at an early age. So I got a chance to learn about Dawn Staley, Jenny Busick, Wendy Palmer, some greats that have come through the University of Virginia, and it helped me form a foundation to really appreciate women's basketball to this day that lives on. But then being able to sit inside U-Hall, see that performance by Elena Beard, that actually for me helped me understand that there's an opportunity to use basketball as a tool where I can compete at a high level at a prestigious university, and I could do so like as I am, all right. And I saw in me Elena Beard, who was a very accomplished, well put together young Black woman achieving high heights. She was playing basketball at the highest level, and at that time and still today, Duke University being a very prestigious university, achieving off the floor academically things at a really high level. And for me, that made me go, okay, that's the lane that I think I want to pursue. I want to do both of these things. And the opportunity later in life came up with Cornell University, and it fit that mold. And I think Elena was the first person that I saw that did that.
So, what was your motivation and transitioning to more front office into the game of basketball? I just find it so interesting that I think a lot of casual fans only realize just the play on the court is the only way, the only linear path in just experiencing what basketball can offer. But in reality, there's just so many different branches that the game provides. So, can you go over your journey in terms of just becoming just a member of the NBA's marketing team and eventually your journey to Athletes Unlimited?
Yeah, I'm going to try to be as short as I can with it because it could be a really long story. But when I think about my journey in basketball, I knew playing collegiate basketball. Like I said, I wanted to play at the highest level for the highest time. And that for me was Division I college basketball, part of the Ivy League. I culminated my collegiate career with the Ivy League championship at Cornell. So go Big Red, first one, only one that we've had. And I had an opportunity to then compete in the NCAA tournament against some of the greats like Maya Moore, Tina Charles, Renee Montgomery. That was the game that, helped me exit the stage left and ended my career. But with that, the women's basketball landscape was exploding, and I knew that I wanted to be a part of it. And I, at the time, was very interested. I majored in marketing strategy and management, and I was thinking, well, how can I continue to be involved in the game? And I thought, at that time, from a marketing strategy standpoint, to be quite honest, when I graduated Cornell, I knew some about what that meant, but tangibly speaking, I didn't know how to activate it. And so I did get the opportunity to interview and join the WNBA's, the league office family, right out of school. And for me, at that time, there was two choices. It was figure out how to use your degree that you've worked really hard for and pursue this off-court opportunity where you can still continue to impact the game, or try to figure out if there's an opportunity to continue playing overseas. And at that time in 2008, I'm dating myself a little bit, it felt like there was very unstable overseas. And if you rewind back to history, there was a lot of war going on, instability across the world, and so it didn't feel like that was the right choice for me. I felt like, okay, I can still hang up my sneakers and impact the game, being a part of the front office. And so after a series of interviews, I joined the NBA family as an associate, and I joined team marketing and business operations, which is a really long term for practically the NBA's internal consulting firm, where I got that foundation to understand how do you optimize the team business. I learned about everything from sponsorship and ticket sales to, what happens in, preparing for board of governors meetings and sales meetings, and really what the operation of a team business looked like at the highest level of professional basketball, and who, someone like myself who's been driven by basketball for a long time, who wouldn't want that experience? I stepped right into that. And again, basketball became this tool that opened up the world of possibility of things that I could discover, right? I became so curious about not only the business of the game, but then the actual functions of the game, right? And had the opportunity internally to transfer over to the basketball operations and player relations team, where I served under Renee Brown, who was the chief of basketball operations at the time and had been around since the WNBA was founded, helped get the first contract signed for the WNBA, and working with Cheryl Swoops. And so much history that she was a part of. And for me, meeting Renee, it was the first time I saw the embodiment of, yet again, someone that I wanted to be. Kind of like I saw Elena, and then I met Renee, and I'm like, wow, like this is an option for me too. I had my eyes set on that, and I continued to learn under her and her team for another 7-ish years.
So, can you go over your journey to Athletes Unlimited? And for our audience that may not be familiar with Athletes Unlimited, can you give a synopsis of what Unlimited represents, and in particularly its basketball division in terms of how that works with taking players that, in the WNBA's offseason, they're participating in this league as well as other elite players.
Yeah, so let me kind of back up and say, so my background before joining Athletes Unlimited, I spent nearly 10 years at the WNBA, as part of the league office family. I actually then decided that I needed to take a little bit of a break, living and working in New York City for a Virginia girl. Like I said, I'm from Charlottesville, Virginia, so a Southern girl at heart. The transition to New York, it was a lot for me. And so I kind of got worn out just by the hustle and bustle of New York and decided that I needed a break, moved to Miami, where I reside now, and my husband and I, we decided we wanted to start a family. So in that time where I kind of took a pause, I was trying to figure out how can I still impact the game. And so I wanted to still talk about the game and the experiences that I had, from the league office perspective. So I did a little bit of sports broadcasting. Then from there, how I got to Athletes Unlimited, I actually joined a company called Sports Innovation Lab, where we talked all about, really two things. One, I helped found a executive board of women working across sports, media, and entertainment, which gave me insight into conversations with some of the top women in the fields, kind of understanding fan behavior, some of the things they deal with women at the top of their field, and being kind of at that intersection helped me continuing to affirm that this is the right space for me, while also putting together a report called the Fan Project that we launched that talked about the behavior of fans of women's sports, which for me was really a different step, but it really kind of helped me affirm that I really care about women in sports. I really care about the evolution of the fan of the game, and that I wanted to refine it a little bit more. I wanted to be less general with women's sports. I wanted to get more sport specific, and that I had more to give to basketball. And so through that experience, I got connected with Athletes Unlimited, as they were part of the Women's Executive Network that I was managing with a Sports Innovation Lab. And there was an opportunity that opened up to oversee basketball for them. And so I stepped into that position because I thought all my experience working with the WNBA, where at the time I was working with people that were rookies like Nneka Ogwumike and Skylar Diggins and Brittany Griner and Helena Deladon. Those were the rookies back in 2013 when I was in my prime at the W. They are now veterans and some that have retired from the game, right? And with AU was a unique opportunity to reconnect with athletes, with a family of people that I was already familiar with in a different capacity, and open up new lanes of opportunity, right? So Athletes Unlimited was founded on the principle that we wanted to be able to provide a platform for players to be able to play here domestically within the United States, 5-on-5 basketball. For me, if you were going back to what we just talked about, when I graduated from school, I didn't have that option. It was like, if you're either a part of the WNBA or you're going overseas or you're starting work. And for there to be another option, another platform, right? This opportunity was a very attractive opportunity for me to be able to build that for others and contribute, let me say contribute towards what they'd already started. So, coming into AU, for people that don't know about Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball, we call it AU for short. We exist in the off season of the WNBA. So primarily our season is February into the early parts of March, where we provide a roster of 40 players, and it's a mix of talent. We welcome the entire professional women's basketball community. So you're going to see players from the WNBA. You're going to see some players that maybe have been overseas and are looking for an opportunity and more visibility here domestically. You're going to see some young, up and coming, rising stars where we have blended what we like to call, veterans and legends of the game with the future and the rising talent to really embrace what is the women's basketball ecosystem in that community. So we play a short season. We play 4 weeks, and we just relocated our season to Nashville, Tennessee, which is amazing home for women's basketball. Anyone that knows anything about women's basketball knows the state of Tennessee, right? And that rich history. And we're bringing professional women's basketball to the state of Tennessee is something that we're really proud of. So we essentially are preparing for our season in 2026, where we're going there are 40 players and be able to provide a platform for them to be able to meet them wherever they are in their journey and play elite competitive 5-on-5 basketball. That's what we are. That's what we do.
So when you first entered this role to now, can you kind of go over the landscape of Athletes Unlimited in terms of what the goals you had originally compared to what is the outlook for AU currently?
Yeah, so I have completed 2 seasons within the AU family, and this will be my 3rd season overseeing basketball for AU. And I think coming in initially, it was about let me step back actually for a second and say what's unique about AU, and what I didn't cover with your last question is that this is a very innovative, forward-thinking company. We have a business model that I think the rest of the world is just kind of catching up to, and that we understand the power of the player voice and their input and how they are savvy business leaders. So they're integrated into the process of everything that we do. And in my role, I collaborate what we call our Player Executive Committee, or PEC, which consists of Sydney Colson, Alexi Brown, Teresa Plaisance, and Isabel Harrison. And we're working together on every single element that we put together for the season, from the schedule to the roster to with the uniforms. I mean, to every single detail, right? And that's really special. And it's like, well, man, why is that important? Because what we are trying to build is an experience where we are bringing the savvy of, traditional business executives with the savvy of players. And we think we're going to get the best out of that collaboration, which we've seen. And so coming into the position at first, it was all about trying to ensure that we are continuing to provide an elevated product on the floor. and driving awareness. I think that was the first season. So coming in, I made a big stink about continuing to refine our operations, continuing to improve upon our player experience, and making sure that the product, people communicating to the audience how elite our product is. We did that well season one, and for me, it was my season one in Dallas. The next season, which was this past year, we moved to Nashville and we elevated our experience by providing, I think, even better infrastructure that's become available to us in Nashville by playing in a city that's a destination. We play in downtown Nashville at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium. Um, so bringing our players and elevating that experience by bringing them to a city that is well known, that has I think lots of things for them to do both on and off the floor is attractive, but also focusing on continuing to elevate the level of talent. And most recently, we gave the world a preview of some of the people that we're bringing in this season. And I would say that the visibility and the level of elite WNBA talent, from veterans to rising stars, has continued to grow. And so that footprint has really been how we found success, and we're continuing to push in that direction. So I think it's been, now my focus is more about making sure the balance of our community is just right, because we know that the product is elite and people like it.
So, in your mind, what separates Athletes Unlimited among the marketplace of different basketball leagues? Because I feel like, at least I'm a millennial and just growing up in the 90s, I mean, there was the WNBA and the NBA and college basketball, but not really anything else that was really innovating unless it was kind of really kind of far-fetched ideas. Now you see a lot more of just branches of basketball that fans can see that is, extended from just the main leagues. So from Athletes Unlimited, what separates your product compared to others, especially for this casual basketball fans looking kind of to get their fix when the WNBA and the NBA are kind of having either lulls or they're still in the off season?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. One, I think about the dynamic mix of players that we have. So when I speak about AU Pro Basketball, we represent all of professional women's basketball. So you're going to get to see some of the names you already know and love, and some of the veterans that we have. You know Isabel Harrison and Alicia Clark and Sydney Colson, but then there are going to be some new names, right, that you're going to have an opportunity to get to know. Maybe there's some names that went overseas, and for whatever reason, you were familiar with them, but maybe they needed a little bit more visibility, and you want to have an opportunity to kind of get to know them and reintroduce them, right? So we do that in a way that no other league is doing that. We're welcoming that part of the community, as well as you're getting to know some of the young talent like, Adasia Kelly, perhaps, or Tahina Pow Pow, right? And you're getting to see the work that they put in and how you bring together this incredible network of vets in a community with the rising stars, and like how they give to one another. I think that's the thing that really does separate AU. It's the community aspect of it. And then if you take that aside and you also think about, okay, from a fan perspective, what's different about AU? It's our scoring system and how we engage our fans. So AU and in Athletes Limited Pro Basketball, what we are doing, yes, we're playing 5-on-5 basketball, but on top of that, we have a leaderboard where essentially our players are coming in and they're competing to win the top of the leaderboard. So at the end of our season, we're crowning one individual champion. So there is a blend of competitive 5-on-5 team basketball, as well as a game within a game where you're looking at individual performances that are then tied to the leaderboard, and that leaderboard is then tied to forms of compensation and different bonuses. So within our league, there's an engagement where every single moment counts, and we've broken the game down for ways that fans can follow it beyond just the traditional format. We've taken it like it's quarter by quarter, and AU winning every quarter matters, right? Every team win they get points for. So I think we've really made an effort to engage fans in a new and different way.
No, I think that's fascinating. That is pretty linear for fans to follow who's going to be the scoring leader. Because I think in other leagues, it's a lot you hear about, okay, somebody's the scoring leader, in other leagues. And this kind of doesn't really mean anything too much unless it's built into a contract. But I think that the way you have it, it makes it so that the fans have an investment into what is happening through the rest of the season. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you
Can I
find,
want to just
yeah,
into that too? One thing I wanted to make sure I
sure.
mentioned as well, what's unique about this is like we empower our players, excuse me, in a way that other teams don't, in that each week we elect captains. So the captains are the top four finishers on our leaderboard. And why is that important? Because the captains every week select their teams. and the captains are positioned as decision makers so that they're responsible for not only selecting their teams, but there's a really cool aspect where, as much as they want to lean into it, there's some game management involved in them, right? It's like they're practice planning during the game. Sometimes they're corresponding with the coaches on substitutions. And so you get a different lens and kind of POV for how these players are thinking about the game, their game management styles, and putting them in positions where traditionally they may not be able to showcase that side. We provide a platform for them to be able to do that, which is also very unique and well received by our players, so that's one other element that does separate us.
So, with Athletes Unlimited, what has been the feedback from the players and particularly of this format? I assume they've been very receptive and highly hit motivated. Just entering this new venture. Have they been encouraged kind of to take these ideas to other leagues? You think kind of similar? I think of like TBTV basketball tournament, like the Elon M thing. We've seen that adopted within the NBA All Star game. So I'm just curious. With you, you're innovating in this space. Just curious if these ideas do you think will kind of spread to other leagues? You think globally?
I think that's interesting. I think we're not quite there yet, but let me talk about as far as how our players receive it very well. And I think that speaks to like sustainability, right? And what we've been able to create, what will be our fifth season. There's something about the community in the format that allows our players to come in and they are playing with the joy that they simply have not experienced, I think, as much in other places. And from what I gather from them, what they like is that we have their buy-in, right? Because we're making them a part of the process. And they like to be put in positions where they get to activate their different leadership styles. And that's what we've tapped into with AU. And so I think that what we will continue to see is bits and pieces, perhaps, of the maybe the leaderboard, which is pretty popular. I do hear some conversation about, well, maybe we should try that other places, as well as just overall I think our culture, where it is not so top down. It is really a cohesive blend and collaborative culture that has really been effective, and that's what attracts not only the players but the talent and people we surround our players with. Right? It is a culture and it is kind of a movement that our players want to continue, and so that's what we hear the most about, and that's what we continue to protect and share. Share as we can.
Can you discuss just the future, the outlook of Athletes Unlimited? And correct me if I'm wrong, just with the site, it's going to be currently in Nashville. Do you see that rotating every year, or do you see, staying in Nashville for the foreseeable future? What's kind of your philosophy on that?
Yeah. Well, when we settled on Nashville last year, our POV is that we are looking for a home, right? And a home meaning like a space where we have a partner and someone that wants to be working with us. Not for just a short period of time. We think for multiple seasons, at least, right? As we think about how the basketball ecosystem is exploding and changing, but for where we are sitting right now, we think that Nashville has all the elements from how they have embraced us, and how we performed last season. Every single metric that you could measure last year was up for AU with that transition to Nashville. And so I see Nashville continuing to be the home of AU pro basketball. One, because of how well they performed. Two, because of how the city has embraced us. And three, because of what it offers from the player experience standpoint and the feedback that we received. There's an awesome blend of an excitement from their collegiate landscape. I mean, there's a rich collegiate landscape just within the state of Tennessee, but even in Nashville and surrounding counties, right? There's a lot that we can still tap into. And I also think about just our players wanting to, or having the privilege to be the only professional women's league, right, in that space, and taking ownership of that. That's something we're really proud of, and to be able to bring that to that community. So I see Nashville as our home for the foreseeable future.
What's your perspective on the fan experience? I just think in other leagues, ticket prices are going up, concessions, they're going up as well. Just the experience of just taking a family to say a professional sporting event, it's rising just due to multiple factors just within just living with, at least within the United States. What's your philosophy in terms of somebody who buys a ticket and making it affordable, not only to experience the product on the court, but like other things? We've seen the NBA innovate in terms of their in-arena product. What is your philosophy in terms of when your fans experience your brand of basketball? What value do they receive?
Yeah, well, it's funny because we have a wide range of fans, and it being our first season in Nashville, let's talk about just like you said, an arena. It's a wide variety of people, but I think what they take away, what we want them to take away, and what we found, I think they really engaged around is it is a very wholesome, welcoming, and accessible environment for families, for young, young college seniors, high school. Like there is such a range there where they are coming and they are seeing we're delivering elite basketball, but also the entertainment around the game. The AU Pro basketball experience is very different because it's so accessible. It is up close. In Nashville Municipal Auditorium, we have a huge video board that I think is a essential part of that AU experience in the arena. And so you're getting an opportunity to see elite talent in a fashion where you haven't had the opportunity to see them that close. We have different experiences like after our game, whether it's the autograph session or whether it's some other engagement where we have different groups, right, set up to meet with our players and to be able to engage with them in passions that you just don't get in other places. So I really think our model in driving that accessibility and that connection, that unique, authentic connection with our fan base is something where we found success. We want to continue to find ways to innovate around that. And something honestly we're just really proud of that is the kind of the AU way. It's about authenticity, it's about access, and it's about just continuing to drive that community and that special relationship. And so all those pieces together make the AU Pro basketball experience what it is, and how we continue to move forward and do business.
Final question for you. With AU, where do you think your league fits into the rest of the basketball landscape, particularly within North America in terms of unrivaled and the WNBA? Do you see collaboration or is it more adversarial? Like we just seen, it depends on just whatever sport. We've seen some be more encouraged for collaboration, others not so much. So just with AU, where do you see yourselves kind of fitting in this landscape? I think it's an exciting time for women's basketball where there's different flavors and it's active year round in multiple leagues, seeing talent from just all over the world. It's not just centered in one particular time frame or one league. I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, I think that's what's beautiful about the growth of the game, right? We see that the pie is big enough for everyone, and there's room specifically for AU. What makes us really different is that we are still the only place where you can play 5-on-5 basketball in the off season of the WNBA, and we see ourselves as a complement to the ecosystem, right? To be able to continue to provide that opportunity and that platform here domestically. But what differentiates us is a really, I think, the community aspect of what we are building and the blend of how we welcome all of professional women's basketball. So it's not to say within AU you get to see some of the top stars, you get to see some people that are still trying to figure it out and are kind of on their basketball journey, right? And you get to see like how they're growing. You get to see some people that are brand new to it. I think within the larger women's basketball ecosystem, we're an important piece because we continue to provide that space for elite basketball for WNBA players that are looking to prepare, right, for their teams, but providing a space visibility for those that are not have really kind of gone unseen or are looking for an opportunity. And we're a space for those that are still working on their game to continue to refine it because we continue to see evidence of how our experience grows stars. There we have a lot of alums and members of our AU family, right? Whether that's a Natasha Cloud or an Alicia Gray or a Lexi Hull or a Kelsey Mitchell. Like there are so many people that are part of our family that have had great experiences that continue to blossom and grow in their careers. We see ourselves as a complement to the entire community and an essential part of continuing to grow this game by providing an opportunity for all the layers that are part of the sport.
Megan, thank you very much for spending the time. Truly appreciate it. Can you let our audience know where you can find you on social media? Again, where they should be watching out for Athletes Unlimited and anything else you want our audience to be aware of as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Listen, for all the basketball things, all the know-how, everything that is AU, it is at AU Pro Basketball. We're on Instagram. We are very active. Follow our page. I think that's where you can find out anything that you'd love to know about what we're going to do, what's coming next in Nashville, as well as any commentary from myself. So at AU Pro Basketball is where it's at.
Fantastic. Thanks, Megan, for spending the time. Truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.